Bieber's performance at Coachella and him being on the laptop and just, playing some records. And they pulled all the videos down. I think Coachella's been mad about videos that are surfacing online and people are getting strikes and all that type of stuff. But from what I saw from some shorts, to Lone's point about the laptop, it's like I'm seeing mixed reviews. Some people are saying, "Oh, it's groundbreaking, it's different," and I'm seeing other people say, "This is some of the laziest shit I've ever seen."
Well,
did y'all have any initial thoughts about that, or what did you guys think about that?
It was on YouTube, so all you gotta do is just go to the performance on YouTube.
I looked today; it's gone.
No, they only left up certain songs from it. So,
okay.
And I know this specifically because one of the headliners, his name was Cascade. I worked with their team over the weekend and capturing his live stream live.
Yeah.
Because Coachella was going to pull it off.
Yeah.
I know specifically that they were only going to keep like a couple of records.
Yeah, I saw individual songs, and then I never could find anything with the full performance. They had already pulled it.
Yep.
But I'm seeing reviews where people are saying it's different, and then other people are just saying 100% lazy. I saw there's a montage of fans saying, "This is bullshit. This is lazy. We came out here to see him perform." So based off what everybody saw, what do y'all think about that, man? Just his choice to do this, or just initial thoughts about the performance?
I think it only cares. I only care about what the fans think. I'm not a fan, so I don't care. But like from what I've seen, and what the interpretation I got is that this still wasn't just. I think this was still planned out. I don't think this was like just him on his laptop. I think they had it planned that way to kind of take them down through a memory lane of sorts of Justin's stuff, and even when he sang with himself. And I saw the opposite. I saw a lot of people thinking that it was like a cool way to do it. And to be honest, from a creative perspective, like I thought it was interesting. The fact that he had such a nonchalant, it wasn't a crazy set, it wasn't all this hoopla, blah 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 blah. It's him out there being kind of intimate in a way with his fans and
at
a festival doing something like that. I personally, out of all the things that people call me a hater or whatever, like I thought it was cool.
Honestly,
I'm also not a Bieber fan. I don't know what they were expecting, So
I mean, I'm not sure if they wanted him to hit a little two-step or something, but there was a part where I saw he was like basically harmonizing with his younger self.
Yeah,
I thought that was a pretty cool idea. You know, I can see where if you weren't a fan of Justin Bieber and you just see somebody on stage with a laptop standing there, you'd be like, well, what is this? I didn't pay for this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there are people who are fans of Justin Bieber who are literally there because they like his music.
Yeah.
And so the way he decided to present it to him, I don't know if they'd have been particularly bothered by it. In fact, I think a lot of people were into it.
I thought it was cool, man.
It's exactly the opposite of what we discussed last week when Jay Electronica decided to present his art in a different way and people started booing.
Yep.
Yeah, it also
what you think, bro?
It goes into the play that, I mean, he was discovered off of YouTube too. You know what I'm saying? So before he was the Justin Bieber that everybody knows, he was just in his room singing songs and uploading it to YouTube. You know what I'm saying? In a like Soulja Boy manner, essentially. So, I mean, it kind of goes back to his roots. And he's got another week. I think he plays this coming weekend as well.
I don't know.
I'm wondering if his show changes, like if this was just like the beginning montage and then the second show is going to be like the grand finale, what he actually is going to do or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I didn't really see it being a problem, man. And then I think he brought out Tim's. She did the song that they got together or whatnot. But and then it goes into play like a lot of his audience and people that are into him are really into watching shit on YouTube.
Let me ask you this, Terry. I'm gonna stay here with you. As it relates from an artist standpoint and a performer, the concept of someone performing and making an experience with the fans and being more intimate, is it fair to say that is more suitable for a smaller audience versus a festival? Because you may have newbies. You may have people that aren't necessarily on the Bieber wave that might just want to see some dope music and see perform live. Do you have to think about that, or
nah?
You don't have to think about that.
I would say it's probably easier because with him being a headliner, the people are there to see him anyway.
Okay,
so he's not going to get backlash based off of his decision to act like he's pulling stuff directly from YouTube when it was actually gone into the thought out with the show. Like if I go to a show and there's somebody that hasn't made it and they bring out a computer and do that,
that's different.
Actually probably frowning upon it a little more.
No, I'm booing.
than somebody that's established. And this is kind of part of the stick because I started on YouTube, so I'm going to start my show or my first week in Coachella by using this YouTube platform, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? So
I'm
not mad at that.
I think it depends. As somebody who literally teaches music production performance,
talk to him.
Computers are normal. I think that the specific difference here is pulling it off of YouTube and like rapping over your music videos and things of that nature. I think Justin is a very specific example of he could pull it off, and there were 5 other stages going on at the same time, or 4, right? True. You can go somewhere else if you don't like it, but
true.
There's a subtle difference. I've seen many shows where it was just one person and a laptop, and they did amazing shows, but they're also running a program in the background.
Running programs and doing live instrumentation and stuff like that.
I saw Eman Omari in Chicago. He just had a laptop with Ableton on it and a trumpet player. That's all he had.
Yeah.
And it was great.
Yeah.
So
and I also have to add too that it had to be a pre-recorded situation, because if he was doing it live off the internet, and this is just speculation, what if he ran into a situation to where the internet's not pulling the video and then the performance doesn't go on like it's supposed to because it's buffering or he lost internet access? So I kind of feel like it was thought out and just made to be presented like I'm pulling this stuff live off of YouTube and things of that nature.
Yeah. I'm not mad at that. That's fair.
Yeah. I we're in a kind of an area of the world right now, media and everything, where everything is just kind of rinse, repeat, do the same thing over and over again. So to be honest, it's kind of a breath of fresh air in a little bit of a way that he decided to do something a little bit different.
It's definitely different. I just saw, I saw a couple of videos of, his fans reacting, and I was surprised at how mixed the reactions were, because some people were like, we love Bieber, we don't care, he took us down memory lane. There's other people that's like, nah, I was trying to see him perform. So that's the only reason I asked.
Let's flip the conversation and kind of keep it similar, because there's another subject really related to that. So I saw something on the internet on Threads where somebody said specifically, and this is right after I watched a clip of the Clipse performing at Coachella, that said something along the lines of, this is the worst, most boring performance at the entire festival. And I saw the clip, and when you watch it, they're doing their thing. It's just that the crowd didn't really seem super into what they were doing, right?
Yeah.
And so, my comment, which kind of went mini viral, was I was like, the performance wasn't lame, the crowd was lame.
Yeah.
And that's not on them necessarily, but I posed that question. We talked about Jay Electronica last week with the acapellas, and then we talked about Justin Bieber, and then we're talking about the Clipse, who went out there and did, in my opinion, they were solid performers. Yeah. They performed the way that you would expect 2 top-tier hip-hop MCs to perform on a set from an album that won Album of the Year or whatnot.
Yeah.
The way they didn't win Album of the Year, did they?
No, they didn't.
But they could have.
It was one of the top records.
They could have won Album of the Year, right?
And they were in the running.
For sure.
So then that kind of, again, to your question, that brings up the conversation. Is it on the artist if the crowd is not into the set that the artist is putting together, or is there something else going on here?
I think with the Clipse, just based off, I did a little research on it just to try to find some videos, to your point about actually getting a chance to see him rock. And I feel like our age group and maybe a little bit under us really appreciated that album. And who knows what the fan base was age-wise, right? Like in terms of who's actually in the crowd. I think it just goes to Coachella. Sorry about that. But what I'm saying is,
Coachella is a festival that people go to be seen.
Exactly. Right. So it's it's not the crowd that's like, oh my God, all the purists or the heads or whatever you want to call it are in there. So people are just floating around. You said multiple stages. So maybe it's not going to be as appreciated as it would at a different venue that's just focused on the Clipse.
Sure. Absolutely not.
I had to take that into consideration as I watched it, because it's like, maybe this is not the spot for them to get their flowers because of the setup of the festival. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. But I mean, it's the Clipse. You got to understand, Clipse is they're an anomaly when it comes to a rap group that came out in the early 2000s and are still relevant to this day.
True.
There are people that grew up and left their homes and, still are listening to the Clipse, and there's people or kids that are just now getting familiar with the Clipse, which is most likely going to be the Coachella crowd. It's not going to be people our age or people that came up during the Clipse initial run. It's going to be new people.
Yeah.
So a lot of these people just heard of the Clipse from their last album, or of course everybody's heard Grinding.
Yeah.
Or they know Pusha T because he was beefing with Drake, or he was signed to Good Music. Things of that nature kind of gives them the direct, you know what I'm saying, recognition of what the Clipse are. So, I mean, it's Coachella at the end of the day. I mean, they had Travis Barker playing drums for the first part of their set.
Yeah, I saw that. I definitely saw that.
I mean, they did their thing. It wasn't a boring performance to me because I actually was watching it while I was at work. I pulled it up during some downtime. I was watching it live, and I mean, they gave a typical Clipse performance. I didn't really feel like it was boring or anything like that. Again, like Lone said, it was a matter of the crowd being lame or just out of touch, and it's kind of like
or maybe just new. You
exactly
know, because
new.
I've done shows where the crowd just did when they don't know, and sometimes they can be tapped in and just because they're not like jumping up and down and doing this thing, like that's not the Clipse.
Nah,
you know what I mean? Like the Clipse, they make music to soak in a little bit, so maybe that's what it was, you know, to some degree.
Yeah, people at Coachella, especially if they're close, they want to go wild, they want to mosh, they want to get dirty, they ain't trip. You know what I'm saying? The people that are there just to be seen, most likely ain't in the crowd. They're like in the surrounding areas or up front. I think there was a video circulating around that Young Thug found North in the audience, and he pretty much he was on his uncle shit trying to protect North. Hey, I want y'all to mosh, but don't let North in the mosh pit. She shouldn't even be here, type shit. But yeah, I mean, it's like people go there to have a good time, and Clipse is not the type of music that you're going to mosh to. You know what I'm saying? And they're not that type of rap group that everybody easily recognizes or even are into. You know what I'm saying?
Jump in, Jay. What you think?
My fault. This reminds me a little bit of when Method Man and Redman were at Summer Jam. It was like a year ago or so.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You know, the crowd wasn't into it, and it was I look, this Coachella crowd was there to see Justin Bieber and
electronic music.
There's still people there who were probably
Diplo,
excited to see. This is a crowd that still gets excited to see Sexy Red. So they're not trying to hear about the Clipse and the Birds Don't Sing and the records where they're being reflective and you have to pay attention to the lyrics to catch the similes and the double entendres and all these things. That's not what they're there for. So there are other places where, like, if you bring out the Clipse and they do that same concert, that same group of songs, it's going to go crazy. But like, you stick them out next to a Ferris wheel in a beach or something, they're not going to care. Like, these people paid a ridiculous amount of money, and they want to be stimulated. And if you are 23 years old, that's not what the Clipse do. That's not even really your version of hip hop. So I mean, like I said, I don't even want to call the crowd lame. It's just they are used to a different type of energy. They're not used to, I don't want to say used to lyrical hip hop, but like, really, that's what it is. They're not there to actually listen to the words. It's about
diamonds look like pee-pee.
Yeah, they're there to do drugs. They ain't there to hear you rap about drugs.
Yeah, and it's about a certain level of energy where you can actually divorce yourself from the actual lyrics. Like, you don't think people go to Travis Scott concerts, and this is no diss to him, but
Young Thug was there this weekend.
Yeah, they're not there when Travis Scott is performing. They're not hanging on every word. They're waiting for the word where they can yell real loud. It's about energy. It's about in its own way, community. So where what was that one kid who had? It was like everybody was. You going to
Sheck West?
Yeah, Mo Bamba. Like that.
Sheck West.
Sheck West. He had the song Mo Bamba, and I don't know really anything else in that song other than the part where everybody.
I remember me and Lone,
the part where everybody curses real loud.
Me and Lone went to a selection show in Chicago.
Yeah.
And when they played Mo Bamba, the floor felt like it was gonna cave in.
And it was concrete.
Yeah. Felt like it was going to cave in. That's how much movement was going on.
No, I've been in spots where like that song got brought back 3 and 4 times when it was at the height, and it wasn't because Sheck West was saying something so phenomenal. It's like they were just waiting for that one really energetic point to come back again, and they were willing to let it build. And that's not what the Clipse, especially this last album, was about. So, I mean, like I said, I don't want to call them lame. This new crowd, the people who are at Coachella, are conditioned to a different kind of energy.
Yeah, they're lame. But, one of the comments that most people, like, when I put my comment out there, they was like, yeah. But one person's like, diamonds look like pee-pee. And he was like, get the out of here. I was like, man, that line just soared so far above your head.
Yeah.
Because pee-pee is a way to rate. It's like P to the second is in the following line after there with his VV and him. And
whatever. Yeah.
Do your Googles.
Yeah. Come on.
This is Pusha T, man. I mean, his rhymes ain't basic.
Yeah. At all. They've never been.
Malice's rhymes ain't basic either, for that matter. You know, I mean, it's the Clipse.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of to be expected. From another perspective, I would maybe make the argument: was this again? You don't turn down Coachella.
No, you don't.
Right, you don't do that. But what was the other? There were a couple things that they've been booked for where it was just kind of like, the Clipse. It was like the Clipse just don't really make sense.
That was a weird
when
look.
they performed. Was at the
Grammys. It was
not at the Grammys. The Vatican.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Like they've had a handful of very interesting bookings that don't seem to like fit and align with their brand in a specific type of way. And you know, there is something to be said about putting your artists in not so great situations. You know, from a management perspective, you know, regardless of if you can get it.
Well, at this point, I mean, it's luxury drug rap. I mean, they have contracts with Louis Vuitton, and things of that nature. I mean, they're going to get looks that their crowd is not necessarily going to be into it, based off of who they're rubbing their elbows with.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't know, man.
I'm not mad at it. It's just an observation, I guess, that you know, like the choice at the ESPYs was not.
When they walked out and they're like, "I'm your Pusha," I'm like, "Nah, not tonight, man." It was just weird.
Yeah.
You know, watching what their energy was, and like, it's all these professional athletes and their handlers and you know whoever, and they're just like, yeah, I kind of remember this.
Yeah.